The knife is a Great Eastern Cutlery, Northfield UN-X-LD, number 13, Clerk Wharncliffe and Sandbar Stag. I've bought several Great Eastern Cutleries recently, and when I got this one, I decided it was time to do a review. My interest in Great Eastern Cutlery is as much about quality as it is anything else. The steel that they're using is 1095 carbon steel, not the highest performer in the world, but Great Eastern Cutlery, with what they're doing, with the way that they're making these knives, they're doing it the way that these knives were made around 1900, maybe a little bit after. As I understand it, some of the same equipment to make them. And I've also, as I understand it, they're being hand finished. It's interesting getting into GECs, coming away from brands like Spyderco and Cold Steel and ZT and Benchmade. It's different. It's kind of a different ball game. There's different terminology for pieces of the knife. The way that they're sold is different. They're all limited quantity, so you can't see this this week and wait a month and know that you're going to be able to jump online and pick one up. They could be gone. In fact, it's such limited quantity that some of the companies that sell them, like GP Knives and Knives Ship Free, when they post them on their websites, if you're looking at pictures, they're numbered or lettered, and if you buy the knife, what you saw up on the website comes down, because what you were looking at in those pictures, that is the knife you're going to get, that particular one, and that's due to differences in the bone or stag handles that they're using. They actually show you your knife as you're going to get it. So everything is limited quantity, and things go fast. I mean, these were coming down off the websites very fast. Around the time that I ordered this, I was waiting for this to come out. I was interested in the Wharncliffe blade, and so I knew that GEC was going to be putting this out. I didn't know it was going to be coming out in the Stag handle, and when I saw it, I just couldn't resist. This model is the Clerk because it's got the addition of the small blade as well. Another model called the Whip, with the single blade, also came out, and I was on the fence between the two, but I saw this one first, and I pulled the trigger immediately. I wasn't sure if that was going to be an issue. I wasn't sure if the Clerk's main blade was going to be too offset, that I wouldn't like it, but it's fine. No issues with it. I got it, and I'm very, very happy with it. With these knives, what I'll usually do is get a pocket slip, and carry them in that. These slips this is a GEC slip made for the knife. Carries in the pocket that way. You don't have to use a slip, but I like to. It's interesting design. The quality is extremely high on these. Very good fit and finish, very well made, very thin behind the edge. I mean, on one of the GECs that I got, I meant to measure it before sharpening. It wasn't this knife. It was a different model. I had done one sharpening on it and then measured it with calipers, and it measured 0.4 millimeters behind, about 1 millimeter in, away from the edge bevel. So you're talking very, very good geometry, extremely thin. Like Opinels, these will cut even after the edge is dull. I mean, the geometry is so good that they'll keep working, at least for some period of time. In getting this knife, I wasn't getting it to collect it, I was getting it to use it, and I initially sharpened it. I didn't bring it up to hair whittling, but I sharpened it, and I carried it and used it a little bit, did a good amount of cutting with it on cardboard and plastic, just to get a feel for the ergonomics, just to get a feel for the Wharncliffe blade, and also the smaller blade. I mean, I was using that as well some, just to see how it would do and what I thought of it. I was so impressed with this that I decided to review it. I mean, typically if I don't review something, it's because I wasn't that impressed with it. I'm just not going to bother with it. But this blew me away so much that I decided to go ahead and do a video on it. The Wharncliffe blade is extremely useful in cutting. I mean, all Wharncliffes are. It kind of digs right in, almost like a claw, and makes the cutting easier. Pierces right in. After doing that cutting and using it a bit, getting a feel for it, the ergonomics were good, the action was good on it. I decided to sharpen the knife again. So I started with Sharpening's with a 500 grit. And I needed to take the edge down a little bit. I wanted to drop the angle. So I increased the size of the bevel a little bit, not very much. I don't know what angle I was doing it at. It was reprofiled freehand. I wasn't really concerned with a particular angle. I'm not looking for super high performance out of this. That's not what this knife is about for me. So, but I needed it to be functional. You know, I wanted the edge to be functional, and I figured at least initially I would bring it up to a high sharpness. So working with the 500 grit Sharpening, I reprofiled the knife. Good consistency from side to side. At least, I was satisfied with it. And I moved on to a 2000 grit, and then a 6000 grit, and a 16,000 grit. With the 6000 grit, after initially using it, I threw some 1 micron diamond spray in the slurry of it and worked with it that way. And with the 16K, I threw some half micron diamond spray into the slurry after working with the stone initially. What I finished this knife on stone-wise was a 20,000 grit Suhero. I worked with that. The sharpness came up. I then moved to strops. All the strops that I used for this were wood strops, starting with a 1 micron. Worked with that and moved on to a half micron, then a 1/4 micron, then a 0.05 micron. I didn't feel the need to take it farther than that. I'm not looking for this knife to hold a very high sharpness for very long, but I wanted to set it there initially and then move forward with it, with using the knife. The sharpness that came up on it, it's funny. 1095, it doesn't sharpen as well as modern steels. I mean, modern steels, they're harder to work with in some respects, but then in other respects, like steels like M390 or M4 will take a very high level of sharpness easier than 1095 will. The sharpness did come up on this, and I worked with both blades and did them the same way. The knife came up hair whittling sharp. That was no issue. I was pleased with the edge. And this may be I don't know, maybe I'll touch up this knife from time to time to bring it back up to that level of sharpness, but it's not really what I had in mind. I'm interested to see to what degree I can maintain this edge using only strops. Or if I need to, maybe I'll do touch-ups on the Suhero. But this isn't going to get heavy enough use that I need to worry about chipping in the edge or fatigue steel. And 1095 is a tough enough steel that it should stand up to the use that I'm going to be putting towards this pretty well. When the knife came, GECs, when they come in a tube. In the tube, they come with wax paper. It's very old school. The whole thing, Great Eastern Cutleries, all the way around the board, it's very old school. It's a nice change to what I'm used to with modern folders. The knife has a half stop. You know, it's a slip joint, but it's got a half stop where the blade will stop for you. Taking the blade in and out, the walk and talk, or the action. Action is what you hear, modern terminology, but walk and talk is how it's referred to with these. Using the knife that way, opening it up, closing it, becomes something that you'll do habitually. Same with flicking open a Spyderco. Um, and the beauty of these knives, the fit and finish, the quality is just outstanding. I mean, that's really what attracted me to them, and it's just a beautiful thing. As far as I'm concerned, if I'm going to bother with 1095 as opposed to a more modern steel, then there has to be something else going on there. And with Great Eastern Cutlery, the quality of the build is so good that, I mean, that's what justifies it for me. Now the other thing is 1095 is going to patina nicely. Um, I've got several GECs. I've got one that I forced a patina on. Another one I'm going to let it happen as it wants to. I'm not sure with this one. I don't know if I'm going to keep this one clean or let it patina. Maybe I'll let it patina and see how it looks. You know, but let it patina naturally. I'm not going to force a patina on this. But if not 1095, you know, I've thought to myself, if not 1095, then what? 01 tool steel is a good choice. I think 52-100 would be too much corrosion. I think there would be too much of a problem with that. You could look at some modern steels like Crewware or M4, but they're not going to patina the way that 1095 will. I mean, 1095 is going to take a patina it's just outstanding. I mean, and I don't know, to me that's fine. The idea that it would patina and have that old look, and then to have a mirror polished edge on it, I think that would be nice. So it's interesting. Like I said, it's a nice change to what I'm used to, and I'm really enjoying the traditional folders. The quality of Great Eastern Cutlery is really blowing me away, and I think they're doing a really good job with it.